day, Sadie, who's about to turn 6, and I were driving to Chautauqua in the truck, and we stopped at a red light. Above the left turn lane was an arrow pointing left. Above the right-hand lane was a sign pointing right. And above our lane was an arrow pointing straight. Sadie asked, "Why does that sign say to go up?" "It doesn't say to go up," I answered, hardly glancing at the sign. "It says to go straight." "No, it doesn't," she said. "It says to go up. How do you go up? I want to go up." I looked again, and imagine that. The arrow was pointing straight up. I carefully explained that, in fact, it does point up, but that we interpret that to mean it goes straight. Just out of curiosity, how many of you ever noticed before, by show of hands, that it says to go up? Okay, how many people are like me and never really noticed that? It's about half and half. Interesting, okay. So it occurred to me in that moment that reading the Bible is very much like reading street signs. When half the people here and I see the arrow, now I guess all of us, when you and I see the arrow, we know it means to go straight. In fact, it never even occurred to me that it might mean to go up, because we know it can't go up. We interpret it without even thinking about it. The arrow is a shorthand that people in our culture understand. Now, fast forward 1,000 years from now, when cars and red lights are a thing of the past. Everyone gets around on solar-powered planes, or maybe canoes and bicycles, or maybe they just beam from place to place. But these people, our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren, might look at this sign in a museum exhibit somewhere and use it as proof that cars could indeed fly. They will argue, if they couldn't fly, why would the people of 2010 make signs that say to go up? Obviously, they could go up. Now, there are also signs that point to down, to go down. For example, as you enter Boulder from the north on Foothills Parkway. And I'm not sure, but that might be a commentary on how people who live north from here feel about Boulder. But anyway, back to the Bible. The authors of the Bible wrote things that are equally impossible. The earth was created in 7 days. The sea split when Moses lifted his staff. All of humanity was created from 2 people. A bush burns and God speaks out of it. Reading stories like this turns rational thinkers off from religion, while fundamentalists struggle to show us how this and that could be historically accurate. But maybe, just maybe, it was never supposed to be realistic. Maybe the authors of the Bible knew that some of this stuff was outlandish. Maybe they figured that we would understand that it was shorthand. A symbol meant to portray a larger teaching. Of course that sign doesn't mean to go up. Cars can't go up. Of course God wasn't really walking in the garden. God doesn't have a body. Now, I do think that the Bible has amazing and relevant stories to tell, and I use them frequently in my talks and in my writing. But sometimes listeners get confused and think I'm talking about the stories as having literally happened. I had one bar mitzvah student who refused to read my book, God in the Wilderness, because he said it presupposed a belief in God. A God up in the sky who could come down and make things happen in our lives. I guess he just couldn't understand the shorthand I use, and I failed as a teacher to guide him so that he could identify it as shorthand. We all need a teacher to help us crack the code. I mean, Sadie could go through life thinking the sign meant to go up if no one told her, well, that's what it looks like, but we interpret it as straight. I probably need to say more often and more clearly that God you don't believe in, I don't believe in him either. But these are the stories of our people. We can learn from them without taking them literally. These are stories that express universal emotions of joy and jealousy, of love and greed. These are stories with teachings that help us grapple with our own lives and find meaning in our existence. Our Torah portion this week contains some amazing pieces of Torah. The 10 Commandments, the Shema, the V'ahavta, to name just a few. One passage implores, V'shinantan levanecha v'dibarta bam. This is in the V'ahavta. Impress them, these teachings, impress them upon your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house and when you walk on your way. Prayer books for over a century use the translation of Vishinantam as teach, right? Didn't we all grow up, teach them to your children, right? Well, some new modern commentaries, including the Jewish Publication Society and the New Prayer Book for the Reform Movement, are using the translation, impress them upon your children, which is actually a little more exact. So what I was trying to puzzle out is, what is the difference between impress and teach? Can you help me? Impress these teachings on your children or teach them to your children. Jacob.
Well, teaching is kind of like telling them that and giving them and just letting them know that, like, did you know that the sky is blue? And so the other one, I'm sorry, what was it again?
The other one's impress.
Thank you. And impress is kind of like show them, look, the sky is blue, and show them that the sky is blue.
Great. So you make an impression on them. Mm-hmm. You show, if you give it to them maybe experientially, they may get it at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. Does anyone want to add to that?
You have to do it by yourself before you teach.
Okay. You have to do it yourself before you teach it. Jeanette. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, think about an actual impression, right? You make an impression in something. It sinks in. And I was thinking about this sign at the red light. It truly impressed me. Like, I got it, the importance of having a teacher to help you interpret Judaism. I've been told for a long time that it's important. Everyone should have a teacher, whether it's a commentary, a book, or an actual person, but that Judaism is not something that you should study in isolation. But that moment at that stoplight, I really got it at a really deep level, that if we don't interpret this, and we don't interpret it well for people, that it shouldn't surprise us that people are going to come to Judaism and be like, you've got to be kidding. You really believe that? I'm out of here. So, what I learned was that there really is a difference between impression and teaching. May we learn, and may we teach. May we implement and absorb and grapple and wonder and impress upon ourselves and others until we truly make Torah our own. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will, and we say. Any thoughts? Questions? Comments?